ever done this poem once in front of people, mainly because it always breaks the 3-minute time limit, but I got some permission to go over a little bit of my 3-minute time limit. And so this is one of those like poems I pull out of my pocket sometimes if I need like a pep talk a little bit. And but, yeah, I'm not going to preface this because it's already over 3 minutes. Mr. Chaffee, and I know I may not remember it also, so we're going to see how that goes. Mr. Chaffee locked the door at exactly 8 a.m. I once watched Jenny hurling down the hall at 7:58. See, I already messed up. I once watched Jenny. There's so many numbers is the thing that they get scrambled. Mr. Chaffee locked the door at exactly 8 a.m. I once watched Jenny hurling down the hall at 7:59. It was 1 second past 8 when he shut that door in her face. It did not get unlocked. Despite her pleading from the other side about the subway and the elevators, we all played to a live piano. Our faces poised like our hearts did not break for our friend. It may have been dance class, but there was death in the air. They sent you crying back to whatever small town you crawled out of. If you've been a locked door more than 4 times in 2 years, Mr. Chaffee, he held our dreams in his perfectly poised hands, prepared us for every challenge we would ever have to answer to, taught us to remain graceful while clawing our way to the top. If you cried in acting class, they would kick you out. Well, unless, of course, it was for a scene. Then they would all applaud. This is how we learned to channel our emotions into something that was part of the script. That September 11th, our scenes were perfect. That September, I got asthmatic bronchitis that lasted for 3 whole months. I sat in the back of voice class wrapped in a blanket, sipping throat coat tea out of a thermos. If I looked tired, my teacher would tell me to just mind my way through a song to be sure I was still paying attention. I didn't take a sick day. We didn't have sick days. It was the year that almost broke me. It was the year I learned just how much I could survive. When you are in class in the middle of New York City with the same 20 people for 2 years each having just lived through the most, terrifying experience of their lives, each stretching into the depths of their emotions at a time when most New Yorkers are trying to run from them. Oh man, this is a hard poem and I forgot it. When most New Yorkers are trying to run from them, it does not change the fact that you have a show to put on. You have to waltz, a perfect waltz in arms you would rather break down into. You have to smile like your whole life did not just fall apart. You do this because you love your art. You do this because you've never known anything different. In conservatory, the rehearsal studios close at midnight. On the weekends, they close at 1. While my friends were at frat parties, I was on the 18th floor repeating the same 14 steps over and over again. If you have ever stood in a line of dancers all eating broccoli for dinner while stretching their legs over your head, you have met dedication. If you ever slept with a script in your bed, so if you woke up scared at the sound of low-flying planes overhead, you would just run your lines like one more time. You have met obsession with success. But last night, before my last final, my hamstring, it snapped like a worn-out rope. Lined up backstage, my teacher cared more about the color of my lipstick than the bandage on my leg. When you tap a 3-hour tap final on a torn hamstring, you will learn just how far you will go to make it. Just how far you will fall the day you finally break. For the next few years, it would sometimes take 2 or 3 tries on the train to get from my apartment to work. The train would jerk and the walls would just start closing in. There was no studio to go get lost in, no script to get lost in. I forgot the words. There was just me, full collapse in a sea of strangers, no sage in sight. If you had asked me when I was 12, if you had told me when I was 12 that someday I'd be living in Maine and working in an office, I would have told you that you did not know me. But my training taught me that sometimes you just have to fall in love with whatever script you are given, to find your truth in it, to mime your way through a song until you learn to sing again, to limp without wincing at everything you did not accomplish, and instead to turn your heart toward everything you did. Mr. Chaffee, he locked that door at exactly 8 a.m. every morning. Stretched out on that bar, we would look out the window at New York City. We watched buildings be built. We watched buildings fall. I was always so astounded at our resilience.